Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling something I think most of us have heard a lot about, learning English.
Okay.
We're diving into a podcast. It's called Learn English Podcast.
Uh-huh.
And they really try to explain why you should even bother.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone kind of knows English is important. It's
Yeah.
like, duh, it's everywhere these days.
Right.
But we want to dig a bit deeper,
Right.
go beyond, just the typical reasons. Like, well, it's useful if you travel or you can get a job.
Right.
Right. So get ready for some, honestly, kind of surprising benefits that come with speaking and learning English.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And just to give you a little teaser of what we're getting into, did you know that English is actually the most widely spoken second language worldwide?
Wow.
Pretty crazy, right? And even crazier, most of the top universities in the world, they teach in English.
Huh.
And then, of course, almost all the content on the internet, you guessed it, English. So, yeah. I think it's safe to say that English is kind of a big deal these days.
It is. Yeah.
But the real question is, why?
Right. Exactly. It's so ubiquitous. Why is that?
Yeah.
Well, what I find really fascinating is that English kind of acts as this global connector,
Oh, interesting.
almost like a linguistic bridge between different cultures.
Okay.
Like, for example, there's this super interesting study. It's about a tech startup, and they managed to expand into tons of new markets,
Wow.
like all across Asia and Europe.
Uh-huh.
And the biggest reason, their whole company culture was built around using English for basically all their internal communication.
So it's like breaking down all those barriers, right?
Exactly. It allowed them to just work so smoothly, even across different time zones and cultural backgrounds. Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
They were able to really leverage their fluency in English, and it became, honestly, a key part of their global success. It's pretty remarkable.
That makes so much sense because then it's not just being able to order food when you're abroad, but it's about unlocking all this potential for actually working together globally.
Right.
But I've also heard some people say that as translation tech gets better, maybe English won't be as crucial for communication.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that too.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a valid point. I mean, technology is definitely advancing really quickly, but I still believe that there's a human element to language,
Right.
especially in areas that need really precise communication,
Mm-hmm.
like science or diplomacy or even those intense business negotiations.
Uh-huh.
It demands this level of fluency that machines just can't quite grasp yet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much in communication that relies on, understanding the cultural context,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the humor, or all those subtle cues that you might totally miss in translation.
Right.
There was actually a study published in the Journal of International Business Studies, and they found that companies that had multilingual teams were actually more innovative and had, even better financial performance.
Wow.
Compared to companies that relied only on translation tools and software.
That's really interesting.
So yeah, while technology can help, it's definitely not a replacement for being fluent.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. It's a fascinating topic, isn't it? I mean, I feel like we always hear learning English can help you get a job.
Right.
But are there specific industries or roles where English skills actually, I don't know, make a bigger difference?
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Mm.
Like if you think about industries like, say, international finance,
Oh, yeah.
or even something like the global film industry,
Okay.
English fluency can open doors to leadership opportunities that you just wouldn't have otherwise.
That's a good point.
Like, take Bong Joon-ho, for example.
Oh, okay.
He directed Parasite, the Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that movie.
So he's actually spoken about how being able to speak English fluently allowed him to work with, a whole global team.
Yeah.
Actors, crew members, you name it.
And that must played a role in the film's success, right?
Exactly. It really shows how English skills can actually lead to real success, especially in those really competitive fields.
Yeah, that's such a good example.
And not just industries, but also certain roles.
Mhm.
Like positions that require you to collaborate with people from different countries or manage clients across borders.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or even leading teams with people from all sorts of backgrounds. English becomes essential
Yeah.
for communication and for building those strong relationships.
So it's kind of like having a superpower, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely in today's world where everything is so connected. And it also brings us to another major advantage, access to so much more education and knowledge.
That's something I'm really curious about because, yeah, we could just list off all the fancy universities.
R-
But what I'm really interested in is, like, how English opens up knowledge that might not be available otherwise.
Right, exactly. Think about it. There's just a massive amount of research out there, online courses, those really specialized academic journals,
Uh-huh.
and most of it, it's in English.
Yeah.
So let's say you're super passionate about, oh, I don't know, artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Like, there are just groundbreaking things happening in labs and research centers all around the world.
Right.
And a huge chunk of the key findings and stuff they publish is in English.
So you have to be in the loop, right?
Yeah, knowing English allows you to tap into all of that global knowledge base, stay ahead of the curve in your field, no matter where you are physically.
It really highlights how English can just open up so much learning and discovery. It's
Mm.
pretty amazing. I've also heard that learning a new language can actually change how you think.
Oh, absolutely. It's true.
Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, yeah. It's one of the coolest things about learning a new language, especially English. You're not just adding words to your brain, you're
Yeah.
actually changing how it works.
Wow.
Studies using like brain imaging have actually shown that people who are bilingual, they tend to have more gray matter
Okay.
in areas of the brain that are connected to, processing language, memory,
Yeah.
and even controlling your thoughts.
So it's like a brain workout.
Yeah. That's like learning a new language, gives your brain a workout, makes it more flexible.
That's incredible. So learning English can be like a brain booster too.
Exactly.
That adds a whole new dimension to like personal growth.
It really does. It goes beyond just the cognitive stuff too. Like learning English can make you more confident, help you solve problems better, and even help you connect with people from different cultures on a much deeper level.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I remember when I was traveling in location redacted for privacy, and I was really struggling to connect with people because of the language barrier.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
I kept thinking, if only I knew more English, I could have had real conversations and really gotten to know the culture.
I know what you mean. Those types of experiences really highlight how language can be both a barrier and a bridge. And speaking of bridges, let's talk about how English can transform your travel experiences.
Okay, let's be real. We know it can help you like order food or ask for directions.
Right.
But how does it really make travel better beyond that?
Well, imagine this. You're not just ordering food. You're actually chatting with the chef about their secret recipe.
Oh.
Or you're not just asking for directions. You're having like a heated debate about local politics with someone on the train.
That sounds a lot more interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
English lets you move past those surface level tourist interactions
Yeah.
and have real deep conversations with all sorts of people.
Like going from just watching a travel show to actually living it, right?
Precisely. It lets you connect to the heart of a place, not just the touristy facade. And sometimes those connections can even lead to some pretty crazy adventures.
Oh, do you have a story?
I do, actually.
Mhm.
It happened during that same trip to Nepal I mentioned before.
Hmm.
Yeah, so there I was trekking in the Himalayas,
Oh, wow.
surrounded by just the most amazing views.
Yeah.
But I'd taken a wrong turn, and I was, well, completely lost.
Oh, no.
The sun was starting to set,
Oh,
and I'm starting to get a little worried.
right.
And then luckily, I came across this group of local shepherds.
Okay.
I didn't speak any Nepali,
Yeah.
but one of the shepherds, he knew a little bit of English.
Okay.
We managed to communicate somehow,
Wow.
and he actually invited me to stay with his family for the night.
Oh, wow.
It turned into this incredible cultural exchange,
That's amazing.
sharing stories around a fire, trying all this traditional food,
Oh, wow.
experiencing their whole way of life.
That's so cool.
And without that basic English connection, I would have missed out on, honestly, an unforgettable experience.
Yeah. Wow, that's such a powerful example of how English can like bridge those cultural gaps and open up these opportunities you wouldn't expect, even in the most remote places.
Right. It's not just about being practical. It's about connecting with people.
Exactly.
And that reminds me of another way English can enrich our lives by giving us access to this whole world of entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. You can enjoy movies, TV shows, music, books, all in their original language.
Right.
You don't have to rely on translations or
Yeah.
subtitles.
That makes a huge difference.
You get to experience like all the nuances, the
Mhm.
humor, the emotions, all the stuff that can get lost in translation.
It's true. I remember watching that Japanese film Shoplifters. It had subtitles and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I always wonder if I was missing some of the
All
subtleties
right,
of
exactly.
the dialogue, the actors' performances.
Exact.
Makes me want to rewatch it now that my English is better.
You should. It's worth it. And it's not just foreign films. Think about the impact of English language media on global culture. Hollywood movies, pop music, those best-selling novels, engaging with that content in its original form, it gives you this deeper understanding.
I've also noticed that online communities, especially those focused on like niche interests, like gaming or anime,
Right.
they use English so much.
It's like English creates these spaces where people from all over can connect.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating how English has become this unifying force online, connecting people across borders.
And speaking of connections, let's circle back to the impact of learning English on personal growth.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned earlier how it can be like a brain booster. I'd love to hear more about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, beyond the cognitive benefits, I always felt that learning a new language, especially English, it pushes you out of your comfort zone.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. Every time you stumble over a word or struggle to express yourself, you're challenging yourself to grow,
Right.
to adapt, to see things from a different perspective.
It's like a constant learning process.
I completely agree. And overcoming those challenges, it builds resilience
For sure.
and confidence.
It's like you're always expanding your understanding
Right.
of yourself and the world around you.
And that, I believe, is at the heart of personal growth.
I was reading an article recently. It talked about how learning a new language can make you more empathetic.
Oh, interesting.
The idea being, when you learn to navigate another language, you become more aware of the nuances of communication,
Yeah.
more sensitive to how others might struggle to express themselves.
That's a great point. It really speaks to the power of language learning. It's not just about picking up a skill. It's about developing this deeper understanding
Yeah.
of human communication and how we're all connected.
So we've talked about how English connects us across cultures,
Mhm.
boosts our career prospects, opens up education and entertainment, and even helps us grow as individuals. It's clear there are so many reasons to learn English, but what would you say to someone who's feeling intimidated?
Oh, yeah, that's totally understandable. Learning a new language can be challenging.
It can be.
And English, with all its vocabulary and sometimes tricky grammar, it can seem daunting.
It can.
I think the key is to focus on the enjoyment of learning,
Okay.
on discovering new words and expressions,
Yeah.
and on the satisfaction of connecting with people in this new way.
It's about the journey, right?
Exactly. It's a journey, not a race. There will be frustrating moments,
For sure.
but the rewards are worth it.
Yeah, I agree. It's about embracing the process and celebrating the wins along the way. But beyond the practical benefits and the personal growth aspects, I'm curious about your own experience.
Oh, okay.
What has learning English meant to you on a deeper level?
That's a really good question. For me, learning English has been about more than just acquiring a skill. It's been about expanding my worldview,
Okay.
challenging my own assumptions,
Uh-huh.
opening myself up to new ways of thinking and being.
Wow.
It's allowed me to connect with people from all walks of life,
Yeah.
to learn from their experiences,
Yeah.
and to appreciate the richness and diversity of human cultures.
That's beautiful. It sounds like English has not only helped you communicate with the world, but also helped you understand yourself better.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. It's about realizing we're all connected, despite our differences in language and culture.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful realization. It can change how we see ourselves and the world.
I'm so glad we had this conversation. It's been incredibly insightful, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired to start their own English learning journeys. But before we wrap up, I have one final question for you. We've talked about so much, from careers to like personal growth, but I'm curious, is there like a surprising way that learning English has changed your life, something you didn't expect when you first started?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think for me, it's been discovering a whole new world of humor.
Oh, interesting.
English has this rich comedic tradition, from stand-up comedy to sitcoms to even satirical news shows.
Yeah, for sure.
And being able to understand the nuances, the wordplay, the cultural references, it's unlocked this whole new level of enjoyment and appreciation for me. It's like I've joined this secret club of laughter.
Oh, I love that. It's like learning English gave you this new perspective, not just for information, but also for humor.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about consuming content. It's about being able to make jokes and share laughter in another language. It's such a powerful way to connect with people.
Totally. So to wrap things up, we've explored all these reasons why learning English might be worth it. It's about connecting with people from different cultures, opening up job opportunities, accessing education and entertainment, and even like growing as a person in ways you wouldn't expect. But at the end of the day, the choice to learn English is up to you.
And it's a choice that could really impact your life, leading you down paths you never imagined. So here's something to think about. What could you do if you were fluent in English? What goals would you chase? What connections would you make? What adventures would you have?
Those are some exciting questions to think about. Maybe there's a dream job or a book you've always wanted to read or a country you want to visit and really connect with the people there.
Whatever your goals are, learning English could help you get there.
And remember, the journey of learning a new language is just as important as the destination.
So enjoy the challenges, celebrate those little wins, and have fun expanding your world.
On that note, we hope this deep dive has sparked some curiosity and maybe even a bit of inspiration. Happy learning, everyone!